In this episode, we're going to talk about several topics related to Microsoft, decisions they've made recently, and important statements they've released, especially from Asha Sharma, the head of Xbox. Let's start with a major decision that, in my opinion, is a step in the right direction, something that should have happened much earlier: the price reduction of Game Pass. Over the past few months, Game Pass prices increased significantly, and the reaction was far from positive. In fact, most of the feedback was very negative. The direction Game Pass was heading in left only two possibilities. Either they would roll back those price increases, which is what eventually happened, or they would end up damaging the value of the service itself. Game Pass was originally designed as an affordable subscription for everyone, allowing users to pay monthly, semi-annually, or yearly, essentially like Netflix for video games. But over time, the service became somewhat bloated, mainly due to additional features bundled into it. Of course, having major titles like Call of Duty available on day one played a role too. As a result, the price of Game Pass Ultimate had risen to $30 per month. However, last week, a decision was made to reduce the price from $30 to $23 per month. At the same time, they removed the day one availability of Call of Duty. So now, if someone wants to play a new Call of Duty release, they'll have to wait a year before it comes to the service. As I said, this is something that should have been done earlier. Financial reports from Microsoft over the past period showed that there wasn't any real growth in Game Pass subscribers, even with Call of Duty launching on day one. The price increase simply didn't justify itself. Some people used to justify the higher price by pointing out all the added features: battle passes for various games, perks for titles like Valorant and League of Legends, and so on. But not everyone subscribing to Game Pass actually cares about all those extras. And let's be honest, anyone who regularly plays Call of Duty is usually willing to pay $60 or $70, or even more for premium editions to buy it outright. So there was clearly some poor judgment from previous management in raising prices that way. It was moving Game Pass away from its original goal of affordability and accessibility. And it looks like this won't be the only change coming to Game Pass. There's talk about introducing different subscription tiers, possibly including perks like a Discord Nitro subscription. Asha Sharma has been hinting at a potential major collaboration between Xbox and Discord. Beyond the Game Pass changes, Microsoft also made some statements in a recent blog post published on the Xbox website. The tone they used was noticeably different from before. But before getting into that, I want to point out something important. What they said sounds good, but I've learned a lesson over the years with Xbox. I don't want promises anymore. I want to see actions. I want to see whether their actions actually match their words. The language in this blog post is different. In the past, Microsoft wasn't very clear. They tended to speak in vague terms that didn't give direct answers. For example, the confusion around exclusivity. Initially, they mentioned only 4 games, but it wasn't clear what would happen afterwards. Was it just a test? Was it permanent? It turned out to be a test, but the messaging was unclear. Now things seem a bit more transparent. They even rebranded the gaming division back to Xbox instead of Microsoft Gaming, bringing back the classic green identity, clearly a bit of nostalgia and PR work. In the blog post, instead of making firm promises, they used terms like reevaluating, planning, and studying. They admitted they're coming out of a period where some decisions frustrated fans and users, and now they're trying to figure out how to fix things, but not overnight. They also admitted that their presence on PC isn't strong enough, not strong enough, as they put it. They mentioned rethinking their approach to AI, although they didn't clearly explain what that means, whether it relates to generative AI or something else. One positive point is that they're now focusing more on daily active users as a key metric. That's a good shift. Instead of just saying X million people played the game, which can be misleading, we should look at engagement, how long people play, how active they are, how many achievements they unlock. That's a much more meaningful measure. As for exclusivity, Asha Sharma mentioned in another interview that they are reevaluating the whole strategy based on data. That likely includes game sales and performance. Maybe they'll delay releases on other platforms instead of launching everything everywhere at the same time, but nothing is confirmed yet. Overall, the language they're using now feels more cautious and realistic compared to the past, but again, what matters is execution.
At the end of the day, competition is essential. Xbox competing with Sony through exclusives, services, and overall value is what drives the industry forward. This has been the case since the days of Sega versus Nintendo. Personally, I'd love for everyone to play any game they want on any platform they prefer, but the reality of the market is different. Competition requires exclusives and strong offerings to attract players. Unfortunately, Sony has been quite comfortable lately, partly because Microsoft hasn't been performing strongly enough. We also have to consider the influence of Satya Nadella, whose strategy has focused on making Microsoft's services available everywhere, a direction that many Xbox fans aren't happy with. So, the big question now is, are these recent changes genuine or just PR? That's why I say we wait and see. The real answer will come from what they actually do in the coming period.